Welcome to the Run Your Day podcast, where our goal is to expand your focus and perspective on life. This is your daily dose of motivation, mindfulness, and so much more. And now, here to help you take your day back, your host, Dan Hafner.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Run Your Day podcast. As always, your boy Dan Hafner joining you here this morning. It is Wednesday, my friends, and today's topic is this: a perfect example. As always, appreciate you guys joining. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my honeymoon in Jamaica, and I'm sure you guys will get a kick out of this one. But while we were down there, what we did I think 3 different times, we went scuba diving. It was pretty freaking awesome. I had never done anything like that before in my entire life. And it was really cool. We got certified. We're not certified to go like on our own, but we got certified for, we can go up to like 40 feet, PADI certified, and we can only go with a certified instructor. So we didn't go super adventurous and just try to go rogue and go awesome, independent scuba divers or anything. But we did get certified for it. So it was pretty neat. And it was funny because before we went down there, I was kind of thinking that like I would be able to handle this. And if anyone, of my wife and I couldn't handle it, it would be her. Just because, the whole gear, it was just more of I guess I assumed, I had a story in my mind that it was, a little bit harder for women to do. Turns out that was a completely false idea. It was actually more scary for me to overcome than her. It was pretty funny because like the night before we were going for our first time, I started to get really, really nervous because I had never even thought about, weirdly enough, I know this is going to sound crazy, I had never even thought about like the feeling of being underwater and getting like water in my ears. So growing up, I always had a fear of water in my ears. When I was real little, I got an ear infection by getting water in my ears. I think I was on a trip or something. I don't even remember how I got it, but I had to get like water sucked out of my ear, and it left a weird feeling in my ear for a long time. And like, it was just, I've always had that fear. And even like to this day, when I go underwater, like it freaks me out. Like I was never able to really get over it. And sure enough, we're going underwater and trying to go, 30 to 40 feet deep down. And I can't even like barely put my head under the water for 5 seconds. And it's so funny because I never even thought about that till we got down there. Like, honestly, I'm not even kidding you guys. So, the training comes and we start going through it, and honestly, I found out it was a little bit easier to deal with, mainly because they make you watch a video beforehand. They take you in there and they kind of explain the whole process of, how air pockets in your body work. And I had never really understood this until I watched this video. And, basically the way they explain it is that, the pressure that you feel on your ears, especially like when you're flying or underwater, is just the pressure of something basically pushing in on your ear, right? Pressure pushing in on your ear. It wasn't water getting in my ears. It was pressure. And you basically inhale or you pop your ears, and that makes water pressure go out. Or I'm sorry, the pressure, it equalizes, right? And it was crazy because this was such a perfect example of fear being in my head and literally not being real. It wasn't. Like, it was completely false. All of this stuff I have talked about throughout the entirety of this podcast, like, I lived it down there. Like, I lived it. I overcame it because we were there. We had paid for this stuff. Like, we were ready to do it. I wasn't about to chicken out because I was afraid to get water in my ears, right? Like, that wasn't a real thing. I manned up and I did it. And, I'm not saying that it was the most manly thing anyone's ever done or the most brave thing ever. Obviously, there's way more, impressive feats that people have done in their life. Like, all I'm doing is trying to use this as an example that, once you understand more about what truly happens in a situation, it removes the fear, right? Like, that's why we say, like I always say, take action. Take action and you'll stifle your fear. Learn a little bit about something and you'll stifle your fear. It just goes away. A lot of our fears are fake because they're unknown. There's just something we don't know. There's a variable in an equation, and that causes fear in our minds because it places that wedge of doubt in there, right? And I had this doubt that I was going to freak out. I had this fear that I was going to lose it underwater, and I was going to freak out, and I was going to get water in my ears, and I was going to die, right? And it was fake. It was all in my head, and I overcame it, and we went scuba diving 3 times, and I had an awesome, awesome time. And I actually have a couple other, parables I want to share with you guys for the rest of the week in later shows as it relates to scuba diving. But the overall one that I wanted to share with you guys today was that this was literally a perfect example of things just in your head that you do not need to listen to. Things you just do not need to listen to. They aren't real, and you can overcome them. You can overcome them. You just have to learn a little bit more about something. You have to take action on something. You just have to figure out and determine that it is a fear that is not real. Fear, false evidence appearing real. It's not real. There are real things to be afraid of in this world, but many of our fears just are a result of an unknown, right? So my question for you today is this. Where in your life do you know that there is a fear that is just dogging you? It's in your head. You can overcome it. You know what you need to do to overcome it, but you haven't done it yet. Where is that in your life? We all have one of those areas. You might have to think long and hard about this one, but I promise you, if you think hard and you dig deep, you'll find a fear or something in your life that isn't real. And if you just do a little bit of something, do a little bit of research, take a little bit of action, and you remove even part of that unknown factor, that fear will start to subside and you'll overcome things you never were able to before. I promise. Okay? So that's going to wrap up today's show. As always, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate you guys coming on. Catch you on the next episode. Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to the Run Your Day podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, feel free to share today's show with friends and family. Until next time, have a great day.